Hey, this is Mr. Coker with Foundations of Algebra, Lesson 7-2, Solving Inequalities. Solving inequalities is very similar to solving equations. The basic process is the same. So I did make a couple of videos about solving equations for the last unit. Now, I'm not going to go over, again, how to solve equations, but I'm going to do a couple of examples. So I will go through the process. So the first one I have says 3x plus 2 is less than 11. And the second one says negative 3x plus 2 is less than 11. Looking at these two, you'll see the difference in how you'll see the difference between equations and inequalities. So I'm going to do the first one. I'm going to work it out down here. So you see the inequality, I rewrite it and I'll work it out down here. First thing I'm going to do is draw a line through the middle of the inequality symbol, just like I did with down the middle of the equal sign when we solved equations. We have 3x plus 2. We want to get x by itself, so I'm going to start by looking at what operation's taking place, which is, I'm going to start with a plus 2, do the opposite, which is minus 2, and whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So our 2's cancel, we get 3x is less than 11 minus 2 is 9. It's multiplication, we do division. Cancel our 3's, and we get x is less than 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So x is less than 3. Now we're going to put this on the number line. I'm going to put 3 and 4, 5, 6, 2, 1, 0. So here's 3. I'm going to put my line, my point on the 3. Again, I'll put it just like I did in the last video. I'm going to plot my point just above the line so you can see it better. X is less than 3, so we have an open circle, and it's less than, so it's going to go do the lower numbers. So we have x is less than 3. Very simple. And this works. It makes sense. And the number I usually like to use if we're checking the equation, which I would suggest you do if you're not sure about it. I usually like to plug a 0 back into the equation. So if we let's see what it would mean if we put a 0 in the equation. Well, 0 is less than 3, and it's part of our number line. So 0 should be, it should make a true statement. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. So that would be 0 plus 2 is 2 less than 11. Well, of course it is, so 3 makes sense. And the way that we graphing it this way, appears to be correct. We can look at it, we know that is the way it should be going. And we see that when we check it. By the way, that might seem like super easy, like, oh, well, obviously, and if it does, there's a reason I won't do that. I show that because of this equation, or this inequality. So, now we have negative 3x plus 2 is less than 11. Well, I mean, this does look like it's pretty much the same thing, just with a negative. So I'm going to draw a line down the middle of the inequality symbol. And now I'm going to, again, minus 2 on each side. Instead of 3x, we have negative 3x is less than 9. And now, same thing, we divided by 3. Now we divide by negative 3. Pretty simple. We have x is 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3. So we have x is less than negative 3, right? Not right. That's not right. But I'm going to show you why it's not correct. So keep in mind, that, not correct. So, I've recently realized how often I say so when I'm making these videos. And I'm like, man, too much. But I can't help it. So, again, just like we did here, we put the circle and the open circle above 3 and drew a line going this way. I'm going to do that even though it's incorrect. I'm going to look at my answer and say, oh, that looks like how I would do it. Right? But again, it's not right, and I'll show you why. Let's check it again. If I put 0, 0 should not be part of this line. It shouldn't be true. 0 should not make a true statement. Look. First of all, down here, 0 is not less than negative 3. So by the way, I'm just using it as an example because it's the easiest number to pick. You can pick any number. It doesn't matter. First of all, 0 is not, down here, 0 less than negative 3, it's not, so it shouldn't be part of the line. And it's not here. I want to make that clear. If you just look down here and you put a number in and say, oh, like 0, 0 less than negative 3, no, it's not. 0 is bigger than negative 3. So therefore it shouldn't be part of the line. Oh, it's not part of the line. That's correct. No, it's not correct. Look at the original inequality. Don't just look at this part. Look at the original. Again, if I put 0 in place of x, I get 0. Negative 3 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 is less than 11. That's a true statement. There's a difference here, though. Now that, before, that meant 0 should be part of our line. And it went this way. Because 0 is part of our line. It's part of our inequality. It's a true statement. So it's part, it's on the line for our inequality. Over here it's not, because look, here's 0, it's not part of the line. But it should be. We just see, this tells us it should be part of the line. Okay. The one difference between between solving equations and solving inequalities, and just in how we do it in the process, is when we multiply or we divide by a negative. So if we multiply by a negative or we divide by a negative, we flip the sign. So this was less than, less than, less than. Now it's going to be greater than. We're going to flip it from less than to greater than. So what way do we put this? Do we put our line on the number line? Well, we're going to go this way. X is greater than 0. I mean greater than negative 3. Greater than negative 3. I was getting ahead of myself because I'm going to say, remember, we just proved 0 should be on the line. Now it is. So the only difference between solving an inequality and solving an equation is when you're solving an inequality, you're going to flip the sign, either greater than or less than to greater than. Anytime that you multiply by a negative or you divide by a negative. Just because you see a negative doesn't mean it's going to get flipped. Example, if we had this situation, look at just in the middle here, if we had something that looked like this and we had 4x is greater than negative 16. See at negative 16, that's a negative, but we're not flipping it, because when we divide, we are dividing by a positive, not a negative. So you would not flip in that situation. You only flip the sign when you are dividing by a negative or you are multiplying by a negative. So hopefully that makes sense, and I appreciate you watching, and have a good rest of your day, or rest of your night, depending on when you're watching this. Thanks.